Okay, so as of right now, I'm just working on finishing this up. Just waiting for people to come in. See, right now I'm trying to add a bunch of detail. If you want me to zoom in, let me get a little bit closer for you. Okay. So I'm really close to being done. I'm just kind of working on the details. A lot of my students ask me, when do you know that you are done, that you're really finished with the portrait? And I just don't have like a really good answer on that, but I do think that you should, when you're finished with the whole thing, like take a break and then maybe the next day come back to it and look at it and see what should I fix. Because if you're trying to make adjustments right after you completed it, your eyes are so used to what you're seeing right there that you probably are missing certain details that you wouldn't see otherwise. So it'd be better just to take a break first and then come back to it later. And I've done a deer before. I did a white-tailed deer. This is a white-tailed fawn, which has quite a bit of red color in them compared to the other one. So it's just very different, but I think it's pretty cute. The most important thing to do is draw in the same direction as the fur. It could be all over the place in terms of direction, but just focus on whatever you see in that direction. Try to replicate that, because it'll make it look a lot more realistic if you do that. I definitely need to define the little eyebrow. I don't want him to like look too mad looking with the eyebrow. Just a little something. And then I'm applying black over the top of some of these colors to add a good sense of depth, so that black doesn't really turn out straight jet black when applying it, which is the whole point. If you have any questions, let me know too. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I wish I had more views, trust me. I've been doing this for 7, going on 8 years, and have been on social media for about 6 of those years. And I just don't know how to play the social media game. Super shy about it, I guess. I don't really get myself out there as much as I used to. I work 2 jobs. I actually work at a funeral home. That's my full-time job. And then I work here doing this. But I also have 2 kids at home. So I have like three jobs in a way. And don't ask me how I do it because I don't know. I get very little sleep, that's all I can say. If you like this kind of content, check out my page too. I have really helpful tips and tricks on different types of animals. And if you have any suggestions too on like what kind of content I should make that's similar or in relation to, let me know. I honestly just like talking about drawing and running a business, those kind of things. But a little bit about me. I used to be a photographer before this. And I dabbled in art here and there throughout my whole life, but never really anything that was this realistic. And then about 8 years ago, I started to do like run my own photography business. Then I quickly realized I don't like getting paid to take pictures. Especially the ones that make a lot of money, like wedding photography and stuff. Started to do that and was just way overwhelmed and not excited, and immediately started dreading what I was doing. So I knew that was a sign that I was not supposed to be doing this. But I wanted to have my own business at some point, so I just kind of started playing around with different art materials over a period of time. And I don't know, I really just had this drive to do something art related. And that's when I discovered colored pencils that you can draw realistically with them. And my very first drawing is of a beetle, which I sell on my website as an art print. And ever since then, I've been pretty much hooked. I started to draw pet portraits not long after that. And that's really how I gained a lot of experience, was through doing pet portraits. And people ask me all the time, are you self-taught? And I really am. I've never taken a course. I've never actually watched a tutorial or nothing. The only thing that I have done that's anywhere close to it is just seeing what other artists' materials, what they use as well. I think it's important to, try to have the best materials possible, especially ones that you're comfortable with, because with color pencils you can use all sorts of different kind of material, and you just have to find the right kind that you like the most. And so for me, I really like, hot pressed watercolor paper with high-end color pencils, or like a vellum kind of paper too. That would be my favorite. How long does it usually take for me to draw? Yeah, it definitely depends on the size. But something like this, which is an 11 by 14 size, it takes me probably around 8 hours to complete. And then something like, let's say an 8 by 8, which is a common size, or 8 by 10 size, a little bit less. I usually say about 6 to 8 hours. And then like the minis that I do that are 4" by 4". Those take me about 4 hours total. And a lot of my online classes that you can purchase on my website, they are pretty much all of them are miniatures. They're 4x4s. That way you can, follow along and not be overwhelmed by the amount of time to complete a portrait. So they're usually within the 2-hour range. But they are also, play or pause at your leisure. So I used to have a home studio, but now I have a studio at my other job. So oftentimes I'll have to get up in the middle of recording to go do my other job. I used to have a lot more time on my hands to focus on this business, and now I regret not taking it more seriously, because now I have very little time. But I do know that I will always be drawing throughout my whole life, so even if it's not really going anywhere right now, I can always work on it harder when I'm older. I kind of want to make it more smooth, but not impede too much on the details. Another key thing is to use contrasting colors, like warm tones and cool tones, to create a realistic look. So cool tones are blues, greens, and purples. Warm tones are reds, orange, and yellow. And mixing those together, like using cool tones in more of the highlighted areas. and warm tones in other places actually create like a really awesome effect. Alright, I am going to hop off here. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, right around the same time frame. Trying to stay consistent, just depends on the day. I'm just gonna keep drawing a little bit more. Alright, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be finishing this up a little bit more.